Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this meeting. I'm happy to see the participation that we have in this committee, and sometimes we take it for granted, but with all these things that are happening, today's date, represents a lot, and it's encouraging to see everybody here participating. So we're going to get this meeting started today. We're going to call to order. And we'll do our roll call.
Michael Wood.
Here.
Cesar Rubio.
Here.
Jacinta Parker.
Here.
Jim Smith.
Here.
Vernon Snodderly.
Here.
Nick Jensen.
Here.
Stephen Evans. John Lewis.
Present.
Angelica Gamboa. Here. Hannah Brady. Mohammed Rashid.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay. Do we have any remote participation due to emergency circumstances that we need to acknowledge?
No.
Okay, no motion. Now we're going to participate in a moment of silence in honor of 9/11. Should we stand up or just, what do you guys think? Moment of silence on our feet? I think that's appropriate. For those who want to participate, yeah, who can, definitely, but I think it does merit the time and just, I don't know, I'm feeling, how long do we, can somebody tell us when the moment of silence is done? Thank you for participating. Next, we're going to open it up to public comments. At this time, if you have something you want to share with us, you're more than welcome to.
Strong voice, though.
There you are.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Tom Whittick. I'm General Manager for TransDev, the contractor for StanRTA. And thank you for the opportunity to be here at the committee meeting and all members of the committee. We have been very fortunate as an operations team to work collaboratively with many members. Mohammed, thank you for your visits and staying in great communication with us as well. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'd like the two members of our operations team to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. We're glad you're able to be here and participate.
Good afternoon. I'm Cliff Crabtree. I'm the fixed route operations manager for TransDev. Started working with them for about 4 months ago. So during this time, I've had a lot of collaboration, both with StanRTA as well as additional members of the community, just to make things better for everybody. I look forward to all of the work with all of you guys, and I appreciate the invite here.
Thank you, sir, for participating.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Lee. I'm the Paratransit Operations Manager for TransDev with StanRTA. I've been in the transportation industry for a good while now, and I'm very passionate about providing mobility to those who wouldn't have it otherwise. So thanks for having us here, and look forward to meeting you guys at the next meetings, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. deeply appreciate it when you guys are here to hear, what's been, you know, brought to our attention, or it helps definitely. Any more, public comment?
Hi there. I don't know if I'm timed. Excuse me.
So you allow about 5 minutes, but it's to my discretion.
3. Okay, I will try to keep it to 3 minutes then. Thank
Okay,
you so
perfect.
much. My name is Cynthia Prieto Diaz. I am a biomedical engineer turned public health analyst, and now I am an aspiring founder at the intersection of climate and health. I am here to pitch or to recommend to this body, as I see that you're working on equity and accessibility issues, and I would love us, as we go into the presentation today, to think beyond KPIs related to the economics, right? Yes, we want the bus to be sustainable long-term, absolutely, but also think about it as other social goals, right? Reducing emissions, ensuring that all individuals have access to moving about the city and beyond. Number 2, is that I would love better communication of when bus shelters will be obsoleted or removed. For example, the Riverbank Route 60, Patterson and 8th has been removed, and it was removed during the height of summer. If we're talking about equity, as you may all very well know, the valley gets very hot. So some of our unhoused individuals that are riding the bus to get access to services did not have shelter, solace from the rays of the sun. They had to wait for their bus several blocks away just to try to get some type of shade. So better communication on that front. Number 2, I don't believe in elevating issues without offering solutions. So as an engineer, I am also here to warmly invite you September 20th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. downtown Modesto at your transit center. If you may allow me to go on your property, I would love to pick up toxic litter like cigarette butts. As we know, bus shelters tend to be a transition point where there are individuals that partake in smoking. And I would love our bus shelters to be clean from that type of litter. So yes, you're more than welcome to join me. And yes, I would love your support if you're able to allow me to gather there. And that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Do we have any more, comments from the public? Mm. Moving on to we're gonna, our consent calendar. We need a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th, 2025 meeting. And a motion to approve the SEEAC meeting calendar.
I second.
Thank you. I will call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you. Now we go to number 7.
And having updated your calendar running through all of 2026, you can be expecting to see shortly some calendar invites from Valerie to get those on your calendars.
So are we doing 7? Yes. presentation, and this is from our TransDev Systems Key Performance Indicator. Who do we have for?
Mr. Chair, I can introduce. Have Ramon Salinas here. He's part of the StanRTA team, and he's going to be doing a presentation on the key performance indicators from last fiscal year. The last fiscal year is from July 2024 through June 2025.
Awesome.
Robert, Ramon?
Good afternoon, Chair and members of this committee. Today, will be presenting fiscal year 2025 key performance indicators, KPI, for our service. We will examine ridership, performance, customer satisfaction, and safety results, and compare them to prior years and national benchmarks. What are transit KPIs? KPIs help us evaluate reliability, demand, and cost efficiency. On-time performance measures reliability, ridership measures demand, cost measures indicate efficiency and sustainability. Why we track KPIs? We track and monitor performance to forecast demand, improve customer experience, and ensure financial accountability. These insights inform decisions about routes, schedules, and resource allocation. This section begins with ridership for fiscal year 2025. Next one. Fixed route ridership. Total ridership reached nearly 3.4 million rides, averaging around 9,247 rides per day. The highest performing routes included Route 21, Paradise and West Modesto, Route 22, McHenry, Route 25, Orangeburg, and Route 42, which services CSA to the Series Walmart. In contrast, the lowest performing routes were routes 24, Roselle, routes 40 and 45, which services the West Side, Patterson and Newman, and Route 61, Houston. The accompanying chart highlights both the most successful routes and those that may benefit from service improvements. Here we have commuter ridership. Total commuter ridership reached 54,306. Among the commuter routes, Route 90, our BART connector, performed best, averaging 79 rides per day. In contrast, Route 100, another BART service originating in Turlock, averaged just 9 rides per day and may require strategic review. These commuter routes play a vital role in linking local riders to destinations beyond our core service area. Next slide. Before the formation of StanRTA in 2019, Max and Start operated independently, providing just over 2.4 million rides combined. At that time, transit systems nationwide were experiencing a decline in ridership, driven by factors such as low gas prices, increased car ownership, and the growing popularity of rideshare services such as Uber and Lyft. In 2020, COVID hit. The COVID-19 pandemic significantly impacted transit operations. Ridership fell to 2.2 million as public health concerns and lockdowns took effect. To support essential travel during this emergency, buses operated fare-free, ensuring continued mobility for frontline workers and those with critical needs. In 2021, ridership reached a historic low. Ridership dropped to just over 1.3 million, the lowest point on record. At that time, Max and Start were still operating as separate systems, contributing to the continued decline. Despite this, signs of recovery began to emerge. As shown by the green line on the chart, ridership started to normalize, hinting at a gradual return to pre-pandemic patterns. In 2022, StanRTA was born. With the merger of Max and Start, StanRTA was officially formed. This marked the beginning of operational consolidation and a new chapter in regional transit. Ridership climbed to just over 1.8 million, signaling a clear step forward to recovery and renewed public engagement. In March of 2023, StanRTA launched a comprehensive operational analysis, COA. Ridership surged to just over 2.3 million, driven by immediate improvements from service changes. This marked the beginning of a strong upward trend. Through the COA, StanRTA introduced Sunday service, standardized headways, and extended operating hours, all aimed at enhancing accessibility and rider experience. In 2024, a full year of enhanced service, ridership soared to just over 3.4 million, the strongest recovery point to date. This milestone reflects a full year impact of StanRTA's expanded service hours, standardized schedules, and fare adjustments. With these improvements in place, the system saw sustained growth and increased rider confidence. In 2025, ridership stabilized at a high level. Total ridership held steady at just over 3.4 million. While slightly below the previous year, the strong gains from 23 and 24 have been sustained. The consistency between fiscal year 24 and 25 figures suggest a potential peak in ridership, indicating that StanRTA's service improvements have successfully established a new baseline for transit demand. Service years, a comparative view. This year-over-year chart from fiscal year 22 to 25 illustrates a clear trajectory of growth followed by a stabilization at a high level. The sustained ridership gains reflect the success of StanRTA COA, demonstrates our ability to not only recover, but to retain momentum over time. Here we have performance KPIs. This section covers on-time performance for fixed route and demand responses, as well as service productivity. Fixed route performance service was at 76% of the time. Demand response service was on time 93% of the time. Demand response reliability is strong and fixed route performance is improving. Fixed route KPIs. Fixed route service averaged 13.9 riders per service hour and climbed just under 1 rider per mile, reflecting strong system utilization. On-time performance reached 76%, slightly below the national average of 80 and 85, but still within a reasonable range. The system recorded 253 pass-ups, which occur when a bus bypasses a waiting rider at a designated stop. Typically, this is due to capacity constraints. While StanRTA's official policy is to never leave a rider behind, these pass-ups may signal a operational limits of the COA, highlighting areas of future improvement as we continue to striving to meet our service standards. Demand response KPIs. Demand response service averaged 1.85 riders per service hour and 0.13 riders per mile, both well within the national average of 1.5 to 2.5 rides per hour and 0.1 to 0.2 rides per mile. On-time performance reached 93%, aligning closely with the national average of 92 to 94. These metrics reflect a strong level of reliability, especially for riders who demand on this service in essential travel. Satisfaction KPIs. This section covers customer complaints, complaints per trip, missed trips, and problem trips for both services. Fixed route customer service, there were 731 complaints, or 2.2 complaints per 100,000 trips. The national average for mid-sized transit systems is between 2 to 3 complaints per 100,000 trips. Missed trips totaled 1,647, or about 4 per day. This is typical to a system of our size. Demand response customer service. There were about 230 complaints, or 1.4 complaints per 1,000 trips. The national average is 1 to 2 complaints per 1,000 trips. Problem trips totaled 2,054. We continue to monitor and closely and maintain reliability. Safety collisions in fiscal year 2025. There were 16 major collisions and 16 non-major events. For context, similar agencies report 10 to 20 major collisions annually. Our numbers are in line with peer systems, and safety improvements remain a top priority. Preventable and non-preventable. There were 88 collisions classified as preventable and 68 classified as non-preventable. We are working with our contractor and reviewing training and refresher programs. Encouragingly, accident rates declined in the last 4 months of fiscal year 25 and the first month of this fiscal year. In closing, I would like to thank StanRTA team and our contractor partners and their continued hard work and commitment. The results presented today show that our performance is in line with, and in some cases exceeding, national standards for mid-sized transit agencies. This reflects the dedication of everyone involved in keeping our service reliable, safe, responsive to the community. I will now take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from our members?
I have a question, but that was really good.
Thank you.
Very helpful. See, like year over year.
My one suggestion is maybe adding the national or peer size averages to the slide. You were saying them that like gave you the perfect context, but it like a side by side.
Sure.
Yeah. But thank you.
Sure. Straight to the point. I like it. All right. Thank you.
Do we have any more comments or questions from the public? Oh, please, come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Ron McMurtry here. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Salinas. I do have a question regarding Route 100. Um, because the way the route is, there's a pickup in Turlock and then maybe a couple pickups in Patterson. Do you divide the numbers by that? Because I think that would be helpful in the analysis. How many people in Patterson are using the route versus how many are picking it up in Turlock? Oh, you have that. Okay. Because that's definitely got to be part of the plans if you need to, like, obviously, like who's going where and what, how early in the morning and so on. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ron. Good to meet you. And any other?
I did think of one. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. I was wondering about Route 42. I noticed that that was one that I think you marked for particularly like high usage and ridership. I'm just wondering at what point a route's ridership leads to considering, I guess like the expanding the number of times per day, or like when that meets that threshold.
Yeah, I don't really know that. Maybe Adam chime in?
The routes with the highest ridership are obviously having the capacity issues. That's one of the reasons why we expanded Route 22 from half-hour service to 20-minute service a couple of years ago, just because of the capacity issues. So that's one of the things we look at. Any time you have a route that has a lot of ridership, you're likely having capacity issues and would likely need more capacity, which would mean more buses or more frequent buses on that particular route. So Route 42 is a half-hour route. We could potentially go to every 20 minutes or every 15 minutes, providing more capacity on that route to provide more service and better service.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you. I bring that up in part because I know that from a housing standpoint, which we also monitor housing-related issues, my understanding is that there are plans for potentially the expansion of quite a bit of housing along that route. It would be a lot of like more affordable housing. So it's potentially, yeah, I just wanted to kind of flag that as an issue to make sure that there's all the moving parts are talking to each other.
Yeah, anytime we work with Modesto or the county on housing grants that they're looking at, they are looking at the transit component. That's always a component of their housing. Make sure there's transit stops nearby and the frequency of those routes as well. So we work with them, and if there's opportunities to increase service to an area, we definitely will look at it and see what we can do.
Any more comments from our members? Okay. Did we just do the discussion? So discussion and action. Item A, September 2025, fixed route services changed. And we have an item B, introduction to the short-range transit plan.
But Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to introduce item A. The September 2025 fixed route service change, and Lucian is going to be doing that presentation for us. So introduce Lucian to take a vote.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Chief. This series of changes was approved by the board earlier this year. And so as part of our due diligence, we're introducing it to the SEEAC committee. We're going to be partaking in the first of the changes. They start on September the 28th. And the purpose for that is on Sunday, we have less service. We can work out the kinks in the ensuing evening, and hopefully by the next morning, We can resolve anything that we might run across as an issue. So the changes proposed are the list of routes that are listed up here. And why are we doing this? Because it is the public transportation duty to make service as efficient as possible for the public. Keeping in mind, it's a shared ride and not everybody gets their full desire, but we do the best to balance that among all the different constituents that use public transportation. For example, if you don't want to go down street A, but somebody needs to go down street A and you want street B, you might find the bus going down street A in order to get to street B. It's pretty straightforward how we plan the routes in order to collect the most people, but yet we might not go down street C because it's considered out of the way or there is not the infrastructure to turn and maneuver the bus. And as transit route effectiveness, go back. As transit route effectiveness changes over time, safety issues also arise at bus stops and on the bus route, including traffic pattern changes, the construction of new schools and things that not a lot of ridership occur at, but maybe we can move a street over in order to avoid that congestion because we don't receive additional ridership, for example, from an elementary school, but we may from a high school, so we'd like to be as close to the high school as possible. And then destinations and points of interest change as people change jobs. We might have a facility where a lot of people are patrons. Maybe it's a dialysis center where fixed route constituents use that, but the facility picks up and moves. And so now that stop may be used maybe once a week by one person instead of 5 passengers per day, for example. These issues impact route performance, and some of those things are what Ramon gave that wonderful presentation on-time performance, key performance operating guidelines, and you've got operation costs that also go up. Really see them going down very often. The trend is upward, and passengers also tend to miss their connections. So in order to alleviate that, we want to keep the bus on time because we know a lot of times people have a 2 or more seat ride. Okay, we're ready for the next slide. Now, why is my route changing? That's a question that some people are asking. Not all feedback is good, but it is all valuable. Depending on the route, changes are occurring for various reasons, and those may include, and we're going to improve safety, we're going to relocate bus stops to better locations. That is nothing to do with the advantaged area or disadvantaged area. That is just a location where maybe the bus will no longer block part of the intersection or cause cars to back up into the intersection if we can move it to either near side or far side of an intersection. So that's what the location is. It's kind of more of an immediate relocation. And an increase on-time reliability. We also want to take advantage of traffic light maneuvers. For example, Cliff over there had a suggestion that maybe we go through one of our intersections straight across because the straight through maneuver is typically longer than the turn arrow. And we're going to get to that when we get to Route 33. We also want to remove a route from a congested street, namely if there's not a lot of ridership along that street, or if we have no stops along that street, which is a case that you'll see on Route 61 when we get to that change. And we're going to increase the service quality to the public because that's our goal, is customer service. Otherwise, nobody would ride. We couldn't. Next slide. Now, the service change logistics, they begin on the 28th for the reasons outlined that it's a Sunday. And affected routes available, there is a link for anybody who wants to quickly snap a shot of that and get that. You can review them, or you can also call customer service. And the number is 209-527-4900 for those of us who are more audibly inclined. Okay, next. Route 23. There are no changes to the timing at the stops throughout the route. However, when it gets to the end of the route, there is an excessive amount of time. That is an actual picture of Route 23 sitting at the end of the line waiting for the time synchronize so that it can come back inbound. We want that bus in service, and part of our purpose of closing that time gap is to make sure that that bus turns right back around and gets people who are waiting on that bus back inbound to wherever they need to go. And then also, that resulted in a 10-minute difference in the schedule than it had been before. So that's what we think is a very positive change. We're going to try it out. And all these are subject to change again if they do not work. But we have to try them because we did the research, and the study shows that the change should be good, but we're going to test them now starting on September 28th. Next slide. Route 24. The bus stop on South Avenue. This is a simple change, but it should be significant. On the left side of the photograph, there is the existing bus stop. What happens is as the evening ages, people come home from work and they'll park their cars along there. There's nothing illegal about doing that. We do not have a red curb and no parking sign. However, it's a tight corner and it causes the bus difficulty in making a right-hand turn. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to set it right over there onto Abbey Avenue. It is not a significant distance at all. It's probably about 40 feet, but it's on the other street. It will allow the bus to pull curbside, passengers to board or alight, and then the bus can make its wide turn and it doesn't have to try and square up to that curb immediately after the turn. So we anticipate this being positive change. And the other thing that we're going to do with the route is we have some passengers who are told the bus is out of service. We're going to change the time point to bring those people down Abbey, across South Avenue, and up Santa Fe, and the end of the line will be there. That way we don't tell anybody that we're now deadheading back to the facility, and they won't be forced to carry their grocery bags. And these are resulting from actual concerns that were brought forward by the public in response to what occurred to them. So we want to eliminate that inconvenience. Okay. Route 29. 29 and 29T are related because one has the same first part of the route as the other. Again, here's where we have a situation where we go down a street where we don't pick up significant ridership, but moving to another street where we'll avoid the elementary school congestion is going to benefit the through passengers and the passengers in the neighborhood, because the passengers in the neighborhood don't have to walk what we consider a significantly further distance in order to get to the bus route. There are some stops coming out on the north streets. However, they are within that quarter-mile walking shed that we try to achieve. It's not always possible to achieve it, but we try to make sure bus stops are about a quarter-mile apart. And we have some that are half a mile apart, and nationally it's considered a walkable distance even at a half mile. But here we try to take that down to quarter mile whenever possible. All right, next. And then again, we're going to talk about 29T. It has the similar situation with that first trace. One thing that you're going to see on 29 is that both of them are running on Sundays, and that's atypical for the rest of our routes. Typically, our routes will run hourly on Sundays. And 29 and 29T, we've been running them both all this time. We're not seeing a need. The ridership demand is not there. So instead of 29 going and then half an hour later, 29T will go, we're going to be consistent with the rest of the system, except for 21. And on Sundays, we're going to just run 29T from Modesto to Turlock. 32. 32 had no actual bus stop changes, but the time point, for those of you who don't know, a time point is a location where the public transportation vehicle may need to stop and synchronize with the schedule on the clock. And the time points oftentimes create a dangerous situation if there's not a wide shoulder for the bus to pull off. We try to keep the bus off of the travel lane. But as you know, McHenry, Coffee Road, Oakdale Road, a lot of places the shoulder is narrow. So what we've done is we've taken some of the operators and passengers' concerns into account, and we've moved 3 of the time points to a bus stop further down the line. And the hope is that this will move these to where there is just a little bit wider of a shoulder, the widest we could find, and that way cars can overtake the bus if the bus is running what we call hot or ahead of schedule. If the bus is running behind schedule, it does not have to stop at a time point. It just continues on past the time point as long as there are no waiting passengers or no passengers wanting to get off the bus. Route 33. Route 33, as you guys know, was developed last year. It was in December 2024. And there was a need for passengers to travel largely between the 2 MJC campuses, but it's obviously open to all of the public, and there was a lot of transfer between those sites that are non-students as well. So what we did is we took operator and fixed route management concerns into consideration, and we eliminated our left-hand maneuvers at the intersection of Woodland and Carpenter, hoping to get the unnecessary left-hand turn wait time resolved because the intersections stay green across the intersection much longer than that left turn lane. So all it caused is a reversal of the route direction. No stops have been changed, but between the intersection of Woodland and Carpenter, when we go up along Blue Gum Paust and Woodland, we're just going to run that the opposite direction. It's not going to be that significant of a change in people's schedules because that route runs every half hour. And then Route 40. As you guys know, a lot of times the towns and cities around here, they love to have these festivals. And the festivals are great community events. However, when we're in a downtown that is frequently closed, we get detoured. And fixed route passengers have problems in their scheduling or their trips pause when we're detoured. So one of the things that we're doing out here in Patterson on Route 40 is we're going to remove ourselves. It's only about a block, and we're going to remove ourselves off to Highway 33, staying out of what I call the wagon wheel. The purpose of doing that is so that when there is a festival, only Route 45 will be affected on detour. Route 40 will go up and down Highway 33 and Sperry. There is an error on this map. As you see the route trace around the Walmart, it's correct in the top picture. We're going to go down Ward and cross Las Palmas. In the bottom one is just my graphic. It was just a way to try and demonstrate the turn there at Sperry and Highway 30. Okay. Route 42. Now, Route 42 is possibly the most commented as far as concerns for it. So we're going to try it out. We're going to reorient north and south on Dallas Avenue. That cuts out Marin, Eustick, and Glen. And reorienting to Dallas is going to save a lot of time. If we need to, we'll have to readjust this. And one of the options that we've looked at is going down Marin, Eustick, and out to Whitmore. Still kind of retaining that shape, but just bringing ourselves away from that school. And part of it is the road is curved. There is no parking along the majority of Glen, but yet we find that cars are constantly parked there. I believe there's a food bank there that people are patronizing, are patrons of. I'm sorry, wrong word. They're patrons of that food bank, and many of them park their cars in the red zone. Rather than ticket or tow those cars, we decided that since we don't have that ridership along Glen, we would reorient to Dallas Avenue and then that allows true bidirectionality on this route. You'll see the lighter blue lines for those of us who can. Sorry, Mr. Smith. But the darker blue lines are going to be the new route trace, which basically, Mr. Smith, it's north and south on Dallas, and then you're out to Whitmore. Okay. Route 47. Now, Route 47 was an expensive change for us, but well worth it. Historically, we had run Series Area Transit's former route trace. This change allowed us to build a full bus turnout, and again, take us off of a street with 5 stop signs that had no residential access. So we had no stops to get on and off the bus in that residential area, and will be brought out to Hatch, have that full turnout after the stoplight, right near a crosswalk. And the community was pretty happy because they had said there is a bus that goes down our street every, I think it's every half hour, and we don't see why it's here. Well, the reason why it was there because there was no stop nearby, and we needed to have a stop nearby. So we've moved ourselves out of there. Forget about history. You know, we're going to start over with this one, and we have access to community, and it saves time because there's no longer 5 stop signs that we have to contend with. Okay. Route 48. 48, we worked with a community partner. We got a request from a couple different county departments saying that they're expanding their facilities over there on Stoddard, as well as the library, who's always wanted us to be nearby. And so we're adding 6 new bus stops. They are located on Stoddard, over on Bangs, and on Sisk. And this is going to add some time to the route. But as you see, we've saved it in some other places, so we can apply that time for revenue service over here. And we expect there to be pretty significant ridership in this new change. Route 50, there is a double block circling that occurs within a short period of time of itself. The city also wanted to do an improvement to East Street and change the parking. So we agreed that the best maneuver for us to be, and we're still within a quarter mile of that other stop, would be to make the bus stops out in front of that U.S. post office. We're going to go from Bentley, and we're going to make a right-hand turn onto F Street, and then inbound, it's F Street, left-hand turn onto Bentley. And it saves the time of having to circle that block 2 times. And one of the issues that we had is our drivers had to contend with being the stopped vehicle at a 2-way stop instead of a 4-way stop. So eliminate that safety hazard and gain some time on the route. Route 60. Years ago, it's about 3 years ago, we did a comprehensive operational analysis. And the city of Riverbank asked us, would you please try to be in our downtown area? We did not see a significant ridership increase. In fact, we saw several concerns. People were saying they had to now walk further in order to get to the bus stop. It also cost some time. Riverbank was okay with us withdrawing and going back to the original route trace, which is on Patterson Road. And that is resulting in a time point change, which is fine because the time point will be out there on Patterson Road near 3rd Street. And that's going to be both for inbound and outbound. That's a point at which we synchronize with the clock in case we're running ahead of schedule. And that way people don't miss their bus if they happen to go out there at the scheduled time. We haven't already passed them. We'll be able to pick them up and take them to where they want to go. And then the other major time savings is that was a 3 train track crossing. And each time that driver has to stop and listen and look for trains, there are not crossing gates there. So this will bring it to 1 instead of 3 rail crossings, and that's expected to be safer and also save time. All right. 61, we're casting a wider net. We did a lot of talking to people who ride the bus. We found that especially in the morning route, it was the same individuals who ride that route from Houston. And some of them said, yes, we would like to have it changed because your new route trace will actually be closer to my house. And what benefit do you have if you can close the first and last mile, which in transit talk, that is the gap between people's first part of their trip and the last part of their trip. And closing that first and last mile is important to the decision that people make in order to take the bus. If it's too far, they will just simply skip it and find another mode. If it's right there, kind of near their home within that half mile, quarter mile, they're likely to walk down to the corner, catch the bus, and be on their way. And then we have ridership statistics to show for it. So there's some changes. We already have a encroachment permit, and the city of Houston has been receptive and said, we are reviewing your encroachment permit to pour bigger ADA accessible concrete pads in order to accommodate this change. So I think they're pretty excited about it. I know we are, and we hope to gain ridership on Route 61.
What's B?
B is time point. And actually, since the authoring of this slideshow presentation, we've moved that time point down to where we actually have a shoulder. It would have cost $159,000 to make a sidewalk improvement over there at time point B. So all we're doing is we're moving it over to Charles and Whitmore, which is the middle dot on the bottom.
Does it travel clockwise?
It travels clockwise, correct. And the actual route brochure that's developed will show that that arrow directionality. We got a proof back from the designer yesterday. But instead of spending $159,000, we're going to do that for about $9,000. So it's a significant savings, and then we can apply that to other sidewalk.
So it will not be stopping by the post office anymore?
It'll go to the elementary school, which is directly across the street from the post office.
Okay. Even going outbound?
Yeah, right now it's at Braden Farms, so it'll only do the stop inbound. It will be a loop in Houston, but you will have access at Charles and Whitmore. There's no crosswalk there, and I actually I noticed that the crosswalk was not at the intersection. It's over by actually by the post office.
Yeah, I missed that too.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go back to the city and talk about the crosswalk and see if they'll be amenable to that.
If you need any help, I am on the planning committee, so if you want to reach out to me, you can.
All right, right on, I will. Appreciate it. Okay. Those are the changes. And if there's any questions, our CEO, Adam, will be happy to answer them.
Very good. I have you two here, Lucian. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, that was a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions from our member?
Yeah, I do have just one. Thank you. That was a great presentation. Cool to see all the maps and see all the information about how those changes are being made. I know like a lot of these seem like fairly small changes. I'm wondering about changes that are affecting, for example, the side of the street. Like if the route, if it's changing the direction, if it's going to affect the side of the street that the stop is on. I'm wondering about if y'all have looked to make sure that there's adequate pedestrian infrastructure or pedestrian like crosswalks and things like that to make sure people can get across the street safely. If they're used to being able to access it on one side, but now they're going to have to go to the other side.
Absolutely. One of the major considerations is whether or not people can safely get on and off the bus. And oftentimes when we plan one, but we thought it would go a certain way, but people are having a different issue, the operators of the buses often tell Cliff, they tell Tom, they tell Jessica, and they say, hey, I don't feel good at this stop. This stop doesn't feel right. And so they have a safety team that'll go out and they'll evaluate it. And what we'll have to do is we actually will visit the site too, or we'll look at it on maps and we'll see what changed. And oftentimes there's another change that's involved, some traffic signal change or something that the city's done in order to help the traffic volume, or a new business went in and it changed the sidewalk. So all of those things are things that, we have to look at in order to ensure people have a safe trip to the bus stop, not only just on and off the bus. And there's been many times where we've had to work with the city and we've had to pour additional sidewalk. There's one case where part of the encroachment permit conditions were to install a new crosswalk because the city felt it was too dangerous to put a bus stop across the street without adding that crosswalk. So yeah, there's a lot of typically they're set by the city or the county or even Caltrans. Cool.
From an ADA or kind of that point of view, just to add in, we try to make everything bidirectional wherever possible so that you've got matching stops again to make the system feel very accessible and make it easy for the user, right? Like I'm on the left side of the street and I can see across on the right side where I'm going to be getting off. So I feel comfortable navigating and doing it. Whenever these changes are made, we do really look carefully about if we have to change it and why, as Lucian pointed out, to keep that accessibility there and to keep this, that's one of those basic planning things that we always do in transit, try to do. The other thing, just to mention, since you brought it up, Nick, all of these changes, as you could tell, they're small cleanups of things that we can do to make for the impacted individuals to make life work better so the bus system works better for them. None of them amounted to, because your charge, fundamental charge is the committee, is to be addressing any kind of service changes to make sure there is equity, that we're not reducing the amount of service meaningfully in any way in terms of the number of trips that you take, the coverage that we provide, that we're adding service somewhere that's less needful, maybe, you know, that we're making poor decisions. And none of these amounted to that kind of a change. But we did want to make sure you, as always, are aware of it and have an opportunity to share feedback and be transparent about the work we're doing.
We're always getting commentary. And if anybody thinks for a second that the commentary is just brushed under the rug or ignored, they wouldn't be correct, because just because the change doesn't occur doesn't mean the change is something that we might still want to do. So we can't make all of the changes right away. We strive toward them. Some of them won't be made just based on restrictions, but you know, they're definitely things that we want to hear. We actually get frustrated when we don't hear feedback, because then we really wonder, is it good or is it bad? So all that feedback continues to flow in, and we encourage it on a constant basis.
Do we have any more questions from our members?
Yeah, on that note, is there some sort of intentional feedback period where you're going to be soliciting it, or are you just assuming that the changes are good if you don't hear any?
On these particular changes, the Facebook commentary period that we did, and other, I don't know what other platforms marketing has to put it on, it's lapsed already. So we've gone through it. I think they kept it out there for 30 days, and they continued to, you know, to probe the public on it and say, hey, you know, this has changed. During that time, we got a lot of feedback. A full document. It was like, how many pages? It was long, and we spent hours going through each comment, comment by comment, and seeing it, you know, how we might do to address it.
Couple of pieces. So I think there's in two parts how we handle the feedback and track the feedback. One, these changes came forward as a result of comments that have been coming in from folks over time, and most they're all cataloged on our Ask DS app. Is where we is our official place where we keep comments, and we'll turn it in. So anyone calls customer service, it is logged there as a compliment, a bright idea, bus stop change, or a request. So we're constantly monitoring and working with that. We also meet regularly with the TransDev, with the operators, with their safety committee and operations committee. And we have a very active population of our operators and frontline staff on our Facebook accounts, where they're really sharing and providing that insight. So somewhere where we've moved a stop to be on one side of an intersection versus another, or there's a tree that's an impediment, whatever, those kinds of feedbacks we're getting from the frontline staff that are experiencing difficulties in providing the service as it's intended day to day. And then as we start doing a periodic planning process, again, and everyone wants regularity in the transit service. So you don't want to be willy-nilly implementing little changes here and there. You try to do it a couple of times a year at the most for a system of our size. Solution and his team working with TransDev have been working on that. Because these were small, we did it as an output to the one with our established committees of operators for those changes. Then we used our social media platforms. We're doing another meeting at 5 p.m. today with the public to share with them. We posted on our website and encouraging people to look at. We do a brochure that goes out that explains what the proposed service changes are. We get the best response by keeping it very focused to the ridership and what's doing it, as opposed to just trying to flag one of those general meetings. Public, come and talk to us about it, because unless you're a rider, it generally doesn't draw the people, right? You're not coming in. But so that we do that and keep track of the feedback. And then as it's working, it rolls into our ongoing planning. So you can imagine it's a series of notes that live with us all the time.
Thank you. Any more comments from our members? Do we open the phone? Any comments from our public? You're more than welcome to share with us. Yes. Please, yes. If you have a comment.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Ron McMurtry again. I've already submitted a pretty lengthy thing, so I'm not going to, well, I'm adding to it, but I'm not going to repeat things that the staff are already aware of. But there were little things I wasn't sure of. So you are confirming about the change of direction of the loop on 33. That's what it wasn't clear on the website. So yeah, thank you for that clarification. My thing is 24. It's a deadhead from Empire, and I'm glad you're moving the stop on from South Avenue to Abbey Street. But still, the problem is it's awkward. It's out there. It's this deadhead, and regarding since it's one of the lowest used routes, figure out a way to get it to be able to board at the transit center. I'm heard for sure you've heard this comment, but is make it an express to Empire, and then that way people on Roselle anywhere along there can get on the bus and eventually get to the transit center and connect to other routes. It's really awkward. I've even tried to survey the route deliberately. It's a pain in the what. So, I don't know if I know it's added revenue miles and there's liability addition because of the mileage and you'd have people sitting on the bus. I understand the legality of it, but somehow, please, can we get that? In my mind, in the long term, that route needs to be launched from the South Series anyway, but that's when you're ready to add service. 42, I have my ideas. I'm going to submit a thing about what should go on in the Bret Harte neighborhood in the longer term. 29, just for you probably, yeah, I know you know this, but I don't know what the time plan is, but the South 9th Street project is going to allow access through Hosmer and later Sonora. And so eventually you'll be able to do more northerly service in the Bystrom neighborhood. But of course, you have to survey people because it might piss off people who use Latimer. 47. Oh, no big deal. The trace has been changed on the Avail, so it now goes straight through, but the bus stop still appears on Moffett. So that physically hasn't been moved on the app. 50. Yeah, F Street's kind of a pain. I feel like there should be another stop near what's that? Yosemite Boulevard, like that part right before you get over down the thing. And then the loops, generally a comment about loops is I think the best time points are at the end of the loop because on my route that I use most of the time is Route 32. And there are people who are going to the high school and going to Save Mart. And it makes more sense in that case. I don't know if that's one of the last minute changes because I did suggest that the time point should be at the high school. That way people catching the bus get right over to Save Mart, right over to the high school. And then there's a pull out at the high school, at Bayer High School. Just let you know. So on all loops, you should consider placing your time points as close to the end of the loop as you can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh, I had a question for you. What does it mean, deadhead and Empire? I didn't understand.
Want me to answer?
The staff will answer that question. Thank you.
Yeah.
What did he mean by deadhead?
A deadhead is a time where the bus is out of revenue service and it's not open to the public as passengers. So for example, if a bus does not end at the bus yard where it's going to go,
Okay.
the deadhead time would be the time between the last transit center where everybody has to debark and the distance to the shop or the yard or the garage where the bus parks.
Oh.
And in our case, our deadhead is kept very low because the majority of routes end at the transit center in Modesto, and then they go less than a mile over to the bus yard. That's the deadhead time. And what he's talking about as far as Empire is there's a deadhead distance from Empire all the way back to the yard on 8th Street in Modesto. And each way is considered deadhead. That's all. Sorry.
So it is a problem for a deadhead? Is a deadhead a problem?
For StanRTA, it's not a problem. The FTA has us report deadhead time versus revenue hour time, and we have to say, but what Mr. McMurtry is declaring is that there's a possibility to have additional revenue service if the bus is traveling that distance. And it's,
and picking up people.
yeah,
Okay.
and so
So say they added it to the Houston route as a 61 going the other way, it'd be revenuing on its way back to the yard or the transit center at that point.
correct. Anytime where it's just the driver,
I don't know what that mileage would be from Empire to Houston, but
yeah.
I think it's like 3 miles, 4 miles.
Right. Yeah, that's an excellent understanding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more from our public? If not, we're getting pretty Pretty close to go to our report. Let's see where we at. Agency report. Oh, sorry. Mhm. What's our next one? Oh, yes, introduction to the short-range transit. That will be,
Mr. Chair, I can introduce if you like.
yes, please.
Here, I'd like to introduce Angela Swanson, our senior transit analyst, who's going to talk about the upcoming short-range transit plan that will be starting here. Well, we have started it, but the committee will be heavily involved with it, but she's going to go through here. So, Angela, you.
Thank you so much. So today is very, very thematic, as you're already seeing. First, you get to hear about how we track KPIs to see how we're performing. Those metrics are some of what guide us in telling us where we can be improving transit service or how we peaked out. It informs our work. Then you've heard about how we've done a minor service change, and again, how we're always looking to move ahead. Now we're talking about the short-range transit plan, which, next slide, is a document that we prepare generally every 5 years or so, where we are looking at a major shakeup and overall performance of our transit operations and determining the future and where we want to go. It's a big process. So as we're moving along with it, of course, I neglected to bring my glasses again. So James, can I? Yeah, thank you. I'll do my usual dancing around. But we're very excited to begin this process. We just started our kickoff meeting this past Monday. And is it on? There we go. So just overall, short range transit plan, it's a document that is prepared. It takes about a year to do the process. And it's where we look at our routes. We measure and analyze literally who's boarding, how many times a day, where are they boarding, where are they getting off. Route by route, we look at it. We measure that against traffic patterns to see where can we be picking up more people? Where can we be providing more service? Are there areas we should be going to? We also have to compare that to our fiscal constraints looking forward, right? Because it does no good to say we're going to add 1,000 hours of new service and have no way to provide it, nor the buses to provide the service and to manage it. So you pull all of those pieces together. This is required by the FTA, Federal Transit Administration, who we report to as a planning document and tool that we use. The information contained in the SRTP also goes into scaffolds into other regional planning documents to prioritize needs. So if we show that we need more vehicles, if we need to add routes or different types of service, this is where we're quantifying to our funding sources how to get it. Key thing, this process is going to run from September through December of 26. The initial SRTP, remember we're only 4 years old, was part of our comprehensive operational analysis, which the two are very similar. COA looks more like just at your service, your routes. This is a little bit broader outlook on the mixes of services you're going to be providing. But the first SRTP was about 4 pages long because we just had no idea where we were and where we were going. So this document is going to be a major process. And the good news is almost everything that we said we were going to do in the COA panned out and we've done them, which when Ramon showed you those numbers and showed how 24 and 25, you almost couldn't see the 2 lines because we had very steady ridership. We've kind of maxed out on those implementations. And so now it's what's next? How do we fine tune it? We need new direction. SRTP also, this one's a little different than the average SRTP in that we've also got a major service enhancement we want to look at called Bus Rapid Transit. I'll talk to you more about that in a second. But BRT, these could be done as separate processes, but because of the way they interact, we've made it one major program going forward. Next slide. So all right, so we've talked a little bit about characteristics that you'll see in the SRTP. So it's comprehensive blueprint. It's how do we get more ridership, look at ridership and growth, and then it is fiscally constrained. So what will happen in our particular plan that we're bringing to you, we're looking at 3 separate scenarios because we're in uncertain times with this new administration. And costs are going up. What happens if we need to cut service by some number over the next 5 years?
what happens if our funding is stable and what happens if we have opportunities to grow, whether it's through capital funding that's available or operating services funding. Next. And then, so again, I mentioned those 3 phases. So the short range transit plan looks overall, and then we'll change what we need to do. On BRT, we're going to develop a master plan. And then we're going to get down to, we think, picking at least one BRT route that we want to implement and get into the weeds, starting to implement that in conjunction with the SRTP. Next. So focus is on outcomes. So when we went to our consultants to ask the consultants to come on to work with us, we focused really first on outcomes. We didn't tell them how to do it, which is a common mistake agencies can make, where it's like we say, give us a management plan, give us this, give us a schedule. We instead really wanted to focus and give them a lot of latitude to be the experts who do this nationally to tell us how to do it. So we told them, these are our goals as an agency. We need more, we need and want more ridership. We believe it's out there. We need to mix what's called coverage routes, which would be on the west side where you're out in Patterson. There's not as ever going to be the ridership we see in Modesto, but we want to cover that area so that they're not left out. But then we have those high demand corridors, our arteries, like McHenry, like Paradise Road, like along Hatch and Mitchell, those areas. We also want to cut travel times and improve frequency of our bus services. So where we need more service, provide more service, and to keep people on the bus for shorter periods of time, because what chases someone off the bus when a bus doesn't run on time and when you're on the bus a lot longer and you're seeing the cars whiz by and you're thinking, I'd be better off in my own car. The next thing is we're moving to having our transit hubs, which we've talked about a little bit before, the planning we have with Ceres, what we have at Vintage Fair. We have an opportunity with Amtrak. We also knowing moving forward that we're creating a new home for ourselves that long run over this 5 years. We're going to have a new transit center where the yard and the buses are that will be in Ceres as opposed to a mile away from the transit center in downtown Modesto. That changes how we oriented that deadhead that we talked about so that we're maximizing how much time the buses are spent serving people versus just driving around empty. And then we also found most of our riders have to take 2 buses to get where they're going. That's another reason why we want to use those hubs instead of everyone currently pretty much coming in and out of the transit center. We want to do more where if you're naturally exchanging buses at Vintage Fair Mall or over at Coffee and Briggsmore, then maybe we should be doing more of a hub and orienting more of our buses coming through there so you can get there faster than going those extra miles. The other thing is we want to look at doing some new and innovative things that are becoming pretty standard, like using Uber, like using microtransit and alternatives to big buses in certain kinds of neighborhoods and communities. But we want to do it in this planned, thoughtful context so that we know we're deploying them where they belong. Next. So I teased you about bus rapid transit. It's rail on wheels. So if you imagine the way everyone loves BART, they love trains because you get on the train, you go a lot of miles, you have 3 or 4 stops, and bang, you're at a destination you want to get to. So what we do in the concept with buses when we do it, imagine like McHenry Corridor, our highest travel corridor in the whole system, where right now we have, Lucian's gone already, but I think we have 30 stops maybe. Is that about right, going down McHenry? Something like that. You maybe only have 10 stops or 8 stops. So the bus is coming more frequently, you're getting on and you're getting from point A to point B much faster. And that really incentivizes people to get on. And when that BRT, that fast rail, that think about it like your rail line, is moving so quickly, it also gets you to where you can connect to go off to your other locations much faster. So we want to see it. We also believe there may be other areas that need it, like McHenry. And on those corridors, if we have that master plan of our rail on wheels service connecting in with the regular transit routes that have more stops, you create this hybrid system that works much more effectively in getting people where they need to go. So that 2-seat ride is actually an opportunity as opposed to a challenge. So having talked to you about it, and by the way, the picture I'm showing you, you'll recognize many of you, is from San Francisco, where you see a couple of the characteristics of what you get with the BRT. Those articulated buses, they're called the 60-foot buses with the little accordion plate in the middle, because you tend to carry so many more people on those buses. It's also, you can barely see it, but at the back of the bus, you see where it's got a lane dedicated to it that's only where buses travel. Again, it gives you priority where you're moving down the streets and people are experiencing the speed of the service. You also don't pay when you get on these fares, on these buses. You've paid your fare before you get on, like you would do with BART or other kind of rail. So that, again, you're moving more quickly with the bus stops, get on, get off, keep moving. So that's a major part of this. And you can see why we want to integrate it with this next step with the SRTP, to do a 5-year plan that doesn't contemplate adding these significant new kinds of lines and new transit opportunities would be short-sighted. And to do one after the other, it's also duplicative, because BRT looks at the same things. Where are the high frequency corridors? Where are the stops where the most people are getting on? Where are our problems? So that's why we're integrating them all. Next. So key activities and things where you'll be involved in that really are some of the things besides the regular planning. This needs intensive public outreach. Part of why our COA was so successful is because we exhausted the community by presenting opportunity after opportunity to meet, especially in areas where we think that there's low quality service, where they have needs and we need to refine it. And again, that's why, Hannah, when you asked about that list, do we keep track of doing it? We're keeping track of that. So we already have identified communities. We know routes where we need to provide more service for folks already. And then we integrate with it. We're going to have 3 key periods through this year where we're going to be going out. So the first period will be end of October, November, December, where we're going out and asking people, tell us about how buses work for you and don't work for you. And we'll be looking, frankly, to many of you with your relationships. Vernon, I'm staring right at you because you are a West Side person who can help get us in with groups that aren't always easy to engage to start that process. So we'll be reaching out to you all to help us with getting that kind of outreach and fostering those relationships. We also need to look at our fare structure, because when we're looking at our finances and the like, we need to examine, are our fares appropriate at this point? Are they based right? Do we need to make any adjustments to them? We're completely agnostic on the outcome of that, but it's a responsible thing we need to take a look at. That charge will come back to you over the course of the year, where they will do a fare analysis and a study and make recommendations to us, which will go to you before it goes to the board. We're also, as I mentioned, looking at microtransit and other kinds of innovations that we could be doing. What makes sense for where we are for getting people to it? One of the things we talk about, for instance, is the Village One neighborhood in East Modesto. Very low ridership, but we still have folks that need to get places. Would that be a place where we want to do some sort of an Uber program? Do we want to do things to change up ADA paratransit a little bit that provides maybe some focus or some differentiation to make that service work better? So those are all things that we're going to be looking at. Next. And then I want to tell you a little bit about the firm we've brought on. We're really excited and feel really blessed with who we've gotten on. It's Kimley Horn and Associates. We had 3 firms that all proposed on this. It's an $800,000 budget that we've given this project that has to be wrapped up at the end of December next year. One, they've already have been working with us and in Stanislaus County on a multitude of projects, including housing initiatives that are being brought in with transit elements on it, where they're helping us an advisor on it. They've also just been part of the team that's completed our operations and maintenance facility master planning process. So they have a really deep understanding of how that location, which would be constructed and hopefully will be into by 2029, 2030, how, as we're planning and implementing a 5-year plan, but we're moving our operations, how does that impact us? They already have sensitivity to us. They've also done a lot of this work all over the country, including similar projects, Sacramento, Santa Cruz, and in Monterey Salinas, where we went and toured and were able to see what they've done. They also very significantly, and I'm saying this to you all in particular, they've brought on a local partner. Her name is Nancy Martinez with Debrief Methodologies. They work extensively in our community in Stanislaus County around transit, around housing, around low income and diverse communities throughout the county, which is really important to us, that there's already trust there. And there was folks that used outside firms, but to partner internally with someone who already knows and grew up in this community and grew up riding our buses, we think will be meaningful and helpful in getting that kind of input we want. And then they also went so much further than the competition did. The little graphics I'm showing you included so that, everyone does like their little chart, right? The little timeline chart, and we're going to do all these things. They color coded in that middle document all of the outcomes we asked for, and then they applied it on the timeline to prove and to show to us the accountability for making sure every one of our outcomes is hit, and at the time point we can expect to have it to be hit through the process and getting it done. They also had the most balanced approach because people really in our business, they get BRT is considered pretty sexy. They like that. They think it's fun. It's interesting. There's a lot of capital dollars for it. It's big buses. Sorry, I have to tease, but the real bus guys in the agency, the big buses, they like them, but they were really balanced in how they looked at it, so that the improvements on a Route 42 that need to be done, looking at what needs to happen, to make sure we're still supporting high school kids the way we should. They really balanced their dollars, their time, and their management of realizing that, and didn't get caught up in the sexy stuff. So, and I really appreciated that because my world lives away from the big buses. So next slide. So anyway, so this is just to give you a flavor of it, because when you come back to us in November, we're going to be deep into the SRTP, and you are going to be hearing from them 3 to 4 times over the next year. And again, we'll be engaging with you and doing it. So this is really just to give you a peek. You always know if I'm excited about something. I am really excited about where this is going to take us and to do it, because we are seeing that we're capping out. We are seeing it's time for change and to get that community input and to master our where we're heading in the next while. So that was just to share all that with you. Thank you so much for your patience listening to my unbridled enthusiasm. And do you have any questions or comments or anything? And I guess the big thing I would ask for is, are you game to do this with us? Because you're our folks to really help us get, tied in. So we're really embracing our community. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, real good information. Any of our committee members have any questions? Thank you for that, Mr. Smith. Any more? More comments?
Just one real quick. First of all, really cool to hear y'all are working on this. Excited to see where this goes. I'm just wondering, how soon should we expect to be starting to talk to communities about this?
The formal outreach events and activities will be taking place kind of November to December. Right now, they're putting together the community playbook for us on, their first cut on who do we outreach and to do. And I am tasked with giving them kind of key contacts to be working with as they're building it. We'll be seeing that by the end of September, first week of October. So figure the noticing and starting to generate information will be happening by mid-October. Of course, we're going to do all those things that you would expect. We'll have a special project website where people can get information, start developing those gross information materials. And then getting our site set up for our meetings. We want to have at least 3 weeks lead to let people know when and where meetings are. So you'll be starting to see a lot of it in early October.
Great, thank you.
Any more questions from our members or any comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
This is basically a strategic plan, right? If I'm thinking of it in other terms, like the BRT mini strategic built into your larger. Okay. I mean, I'm pumped. It's cool. Strategic plans are cool. I am hoping that in terms of increasing ridership, there's some focus on diversifying, specifically like income types that are taking this bus system. I'm a big public transit person. So, and I've been taking the bus more often because I'm on this committee. And I think in other places where it's more universal, it feels very different when you're on these systems. And here we don't have that yet. And I think that's an avenue, like a really big, wide open avenue that can like support this system.
Thank you. That's great feedback. And that's part of our goal is to really increase, we call it increasing mode share, to get more people on and choosing to be on and riding with us. And that's where we see those big opportunities in the hubs and the BRT and realigning it so that it really becomes an obvious choice for people.
Thank you. I believe we have one question.
Just one comment. I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely look forward to participating in this, as I did start with the first round. And, like I say, the transit station is really good, and I look forward to improving it even more to get more people on transit.
Thank you. Do we have any more comment or question? To the public now? If there is, come right up ahead.
Thank you. Oh, you do it. Ron McMurtry again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have to say, Muni Transit in San Francisco has had those articulated buses for a long time. And I remember as a kid, that is so fun. And when those things make a turn, half the passengers are like, over here. It's a trip. And of course, kids want to stand on the little plate where the articulation is to, like you're surfing or something. So they're really fun for kids. My other thing is something Ms. Swanson said about, we want to have efficiencies. We want to have people having to transfer a lot. And it's I could have done this privately, but since this is a potential conflict of interest kind of deal, I want to make sure it's in a public meeting. But I'm concerned, this relates back to Mr. Salinas' presentation about, the ridership increases. I'm not sure how you collect the statistics, because when there's inefficiencies, as I've complained about a couple of times about Sylvan Avenue, that means those of us that have to get somewhere have to do more transfers and stuff. And I wonder if that boosts the numbers artificially and that causes a misalignment of incentives. I trust you guys. You guys are great. But I mean, for the long term, I think we have to be careful about how we collect those statistics. Thank you.
Just thank you very much for your comment. It is something that is always the kind of data scrubbing that gets done. And that's part of why we work with consultants who do this every day instead of we who do that level of analysis once a year. So we're working collectively to make sure we don't overstate or understate and look at where those options are.
Do we have any more comments?
Here I am. Hi everyone, Cynthia again. Thank you so much for that presentation. I am very excited because I want to acknowledge that even if we ourselves may not ride public transit every day, we all benefit as a society, right? Because traffic congestion. So yes, so I wanted to highlight that. I did have some recommendations or considerations for these upcoming efforts, which again, as a community member, more than happy to support. I've seen you at a couple of events, so I would love to see StanRTA personnel, individuals from this body, to attend those. Take StanRTA to your next local events, right? We also, if we're trying to increase ridership at certain cities, take that as an opportunity to do so. Also, I would like to emphasize when implementing this, being mindful or an emphasis on clean bus stations, right? I think if there's the aesthetics, hey, this is a clean bus stop, that means it's well maintained. Maybe all, as an individual, want to take the bus more often. But if I see it littered, maybe I do not want to do so. I previously pitched an adopt the spot or adopt the station to the agency before. So maybe as part of these upcoming efforts, I would love to see that. One, it could provide, if you're looking for revenue, you can provide an opportunity for businesses to, one, promote their business, but also you're getting economic means, right? Maybe they're adopting it for a year. They can put their signage and then, yes, potential revenue for the agency. And also organizations, community-based organizations, maybe they're in the arts, maybe they're supporting our youth. And then that way individuals riding the bus have an opportunity to see, hey, this is a service in my community. I might want to check them out. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any more public comment? Okay. So we are done with item 9? Or now we're on 9? Okay. Agency report. And item A is the CEO report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take that. Just 2 items that I wanted to talk to the committee about was one, we are on the cusp of purchasing the land for the new operations and maintenance of the facility that we have been working on for a year or more, which has been great. So that will be considered at a hearing at the next Board of Directors meeting on September 25th. So I want to make sure that you are aware of that happening at the next board meeting. Secondly, everybody was given a fact sheet. It's a colorful piece of paper that you have in front of you. This is something that was developed that has a bunch of facts about the StanRTA. As a member of this committee, you may be wondering, well, how many buses do they actually have? And how many routes do they have? And how many people do they carry? And you may not know that information off the top of your head, but now you have it at your fingertips. So if you ever asked or you just want to know, or it's lots of good facts are on that piece of paper, both front and back. So that's yours to keep. And if you ever need copies of it, we can get you more of those. It's great. And those are all updated with the most current information we have. And looks like Mohammed has a question.
I know paratransit has a few new drivers as of last week. Is this from just recently? 274 operators?
That would be how many operators TransDev is supposed to have, not necessarily how many they actually have.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have. Thank you for the time. Yeah, of course. Yeah, if you need more of them, I can get you more. I can get you the electronic copy as well, both printed and electronic. No problem.
And it's on our website as well.
Oh, we'll get you the link. Easy enough.
Any questions on this CEO report from our members? We have item B, marketing update.
Were we able to get that video file? All right, we'll save it to the next time. If you haven't been on our social media this summer, we had a lot of fun at a lot of community events. We were going to play you the 2-minute version of our greatest hits of being out there. My personal favorite was being at a back to school event and one of the kids being asked, like, why do you like riding the bus? And he said, it's so comfortable. And about that way, it was had 12-year-old boys, gotta love them. Anyway, but so we'll save that for the next meeting. With that,
With that, we have the committee member report. Okay. So who's Mike?
Yeah, so I would just say I had an opportunity over the weekend to go to Anaheim and ride their buses and and of course experience their transit. And compared to also like their bus stops, and definitely maybe improvements, but I would say our bus stops overall are really clean compared to theirs. The transit city does a really good job around here. The only thing I did mention to Adam is that I do like the idea of going forward of putting the bus route numbers on the routes on the cards, so that way if you're from out of town or it just makes it easier to know this is 37, this is so on and so on. But otherwise, yeah, I think the HT is doing a really good job with what we have.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Mohammed.
This is Mohammed. In July, I participated in the Americans with Disabilities Anniversary Act with TransDev at the BMF, and it was a great day with the drivers and the safety team. We did a wheelchair race between me and a couple drivers and a couple safety operators. And then just last week or the week before, I had lunch with Tom and Jessica from TransDev, and we talked about service updates and suggestions. And that's actually one more. And then, wait, what month are we in right now? August. Oh, September. And then last week, I participated in a conversation with some consumers to educate them on the StanRTA Book the S app, because a lot of the consumers still do not know about the app. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mohammed. It definitely, I try to tell everybody too about the app. It's definitely has convenience. It is sometimes challenging for the app if you don't understand it or know it. So that, thank you for that, sir.
And one concern that I have already brought up to management is that I've noticed dispatch has the drivers going back and forth between rides and backtracking them when they're already on one side of town. They're having them go back for another ride when there's already drivers in the area. That's been happening a lot lately, and drivers are getting kind of frustrated from what I've heard.
Yeah, situations are hard on the driver when it's stressful. They're definitely the first face of the company, so they get the brunt of it. Overall, I think TransDev has done well as the provider. Definitely more improvements need to be done. I'm glad we're all here to participate in the changes and have an active role in improving the service. I definitely want to apologize for all my no-shows. It's definitely been challenging as being disabled. You when something changes in your condition, you might not notice it right away, but I definitely noticed that my eyesight has deteriorated. So now using the app has become harder, and I'm getting all these no-shows because I'm looking at the numbers and I think it's something else, and it. So as disabilities change, I think we also need to keep that in mind. I think this is why we're here, for that part of the equity, make sure nobody, gets overlooked. So thank you for being here. If there's any more reports,
Yeah, I have.
yes, sir.
I'm gonna whine. I think it's the first time I've ever whined here. Paratransit, going from this meeting here back to Newman, must be the only person that wants to do that. Last month, or last time we met, like in April, they were over 45 minutes late picking me up here in the time frame.
Yes.
And then I get on the bus here and we do a big loop around Modesto for an hour, and they come back almost to the same address to drop a gentleman off at the end of the corner who was working. So I think it's a swing shift or something. And then we're making big loops around Modesto, and about 2 hours comes up, and I go, hey, is it their rule? And the bus driver went, oh yeah. So she got on the radio and called someone. They kind of expedited me, down the back roads all towards Newman, and got waylaid again. So I was getting close to 3 hours before I got home. Now, I will say the bus drivers were very professional. and nice, you know, through all that.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I made a couple phone calls, you know, looking for the bus, and the people on the phone are very nice and professional. But it's just frustrating. Takes me, if I get a ride here by car, it's like under an hour, but 3 hours to get back to Newman. Now I know I'm out in the boonies. I know I'm almost on Interstate 5, and I know I'm on the county line between Merced and all that, but gotta be a better way of doing it. I mean, for me, it's just frustrating.
No, I completely understand. I have a similar situation. I live in Houston. I work in Salida, and it does happen sometimes. You know, it is rough to be on there that
I
long.
think it's the time of day here, you know, trying to.
They do have their peaks.
Getting off or coming on to work and.
Yeah. Right now is one of their hardest, you know, it starts right now from 3 o'clock until about 6 o'clock. It's one of their peaks, and if you can avoid their peaks, that's great. If you can't, issues do arise. I completely understand. I'm just, you know, I hope as we work toward a better system, you know, maybe get a more pleasant ride as we go. Any more reports from our committee?
Mr. Jim.
Just a few comments.
Yes.
Somebody said they were having visual problems.
These are good.
Yeah, I'm low vision, but as you get older, you know, eyesight does get,
Well, I know about that.
so it's
Somebody
definitely,
told me about that.
it's definitely good.
We have a group here in Modesto called VIPS,
Yes, sir.
Visually Impaired Person Services.
Great people.
Don't be afraid to stop by there and ask for.
Yes, definitely.
We have a good group twice a month.
They wanted to hire me. Unfortunately, I'm so busy. I wish I did have the time.
I use Dial-A-Ride to get. Good thing.
I don't know.
I
didn't think we had dollar right in.
Well,
Well, oh yeah, paratransit. Yes, sir.
Paratransit. I don't know the bad words. I just know the words that I know. As everybody here has probably figured out by now, my world has shrunk down pretty small. There are a lot of things that I'm not real aware of. I'm not really bright about and I'm not criticizing, but I'm not really bright about what's going on in the regular line service in the company. And I'm not as aware as I'd like to be in the paratransit. Is that the correct term?
Yes, sir.
Paratransit. Sorry about that.
No.
But I think that it might be beneficial. I don't know how many of you are in the same state that I am, but it might be beneficial if somebody could take a little time and write now I've forgotten the correct term, a mission
Statement.
a mission statement for this committee. Because I've been in the committee for 2 years and I'm still not positive what the devil I'm doing. And I'd like to be positive what I'm doing because I signed up for the committee because I wanted to make a contribution to the community of some sort. Even though I'm limited by my vision, I am not, my brain isn't limited. It's not very bright either, but not real limited. And I can figure things out. I've got 20 years experience as a customer service man, and I'd like to be a little more focused on what
Direction we want to take.
direction the committee's going.
Okay.
A lot of interesting things that came out in your presentations today, and they interest me, but I don't know where to file them. And I went through 71 years of my life with good vision, and so when I met somebody, I could look at their face and file their face in my brain and remember their name. And now, 6 years later, since I've lost my sight, I can't look at your face anymore. So I have a horrible time remembering people's names. and getting them filed in my brain. So that's all I got. I just would like to feel like my contribution is more than a guy that sits here and goes, yeah, I get it.
Understandable. I think a lot of the clarification will come up on our next training as far as the Brown Act, as far as what we can do and how far our reach is as far as this committee. And I think that's going to be beneficial and answer some of your questions there. And that it did get rescheduled. I'm not sure if there's a new date for it, but I think that'd be a great
I'll
setting.
give an update on that. We have been struggling. There is with the trying to find someone who can come here, which we wanted to do to facilitate it. That service doesn't basically exist anymore, but so where they'll do it unless you're legal counsel to a city or a county, and then they do it. And we haven't had any takers from legal counsels to any Stanislaus County local agencies. But we think we've got it worked out so that we can either do it at your November or add a meeting in for it. You also, if you all want to just get it done, we can send you the link and through FPPC. Just do it and get it done. So, but we are still working on it. We haven't abandoned it. It's just been trying to get the timing and get it pulled together on that. And Mr. Jim, again, we're running outside of what's agendized here, so I don't want to overstep because legal counsel is giving me a look. But what if staff brought back some opportunities for engagement, either through some travel training on the bus, called travel training, but doing some travel days on the bus. If you hadn't ridden the bus, to spend an hour doing a field trip on the big bus, big buses, sorry.
I was just gonna ask about the availability of travel training
Yeah.
for the blind.
There is tremendous travel training available. So we'll work with Move on it and maybe to do a couple of an upcoming safety meeting. I'm looking over at the TransDev folks to see if there might be an opportunity for a few of our committee members to maybe get involved in the way that Mohammed has, or to kind of get to know you all and kind of see operations from your side. And I'm getting the thumbs up on that. So we'll bring back some of those opportunities and options to the next meeting. And for those who are interested, we'll get that set up.
One of my original complaints was when I first came on this committee, which is going on 2 years ago now, was that we only meet quarterly. That's all we're gonna do.
And as needed, if something does arise.
Right.
But
That you can discuss too.
yeah, and that's all something that can be brought up when we either do the training or I would be interested in the thing.
Well, I hope
Just to be able to
Get it done.
and learn it,
Yeah.
be able to get educated on exactly what we're doing here, right, Mr. Smith?
That's right, absolutely.
Okay.
I hope I wasn't the only person in the room that had the same question, but it just,
Well, if there was, thank you for bringing it up. I think more than one person appreciates it. I know I did.
I'll shut up.
Thank you, sir, for that. I mean, for bringing that item to the Okay, I think we're gonna adjourn. We can adjourn. Thank you for being here. And if I had my gavel, I would adjourn. Thank you. I think my bus is here too.
Nice meeting.